Hey everybody, welcome to day number 29. This is our final full body mobility workout. We're going to be working 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off the whole way through. Tomorrow we have our mobility challenge. It's a very tough workout where we're going to be working on some of the harder mobility movements. Some you may or may not be able to do, but it's a good benchmark of where your mobility is at. But today it's a normal one. It's our last one that's normal of the program. Let's get started with hip openers. Hips open to 90, knees bent to 90. Let's start swiveling. Here we go. So if you're still doing these daily by now, I'm sure you've made daily movement a part of your life, and you probably feel a lot of the benefits to the way your body feels. Maybe you'll feel some improvements in your sleep, especially if you do this at night. And I hope moving forward that you're able to maintain this habit. 10 more seconds here. A little bit of movement goes a long way every day. And that's time. We're going to move into a dynamic glute 90-90. So let's go off to the left-hand side. 90-90 position, turn the chest over top of the left leg, and we're going to be doing that dynamic glute stretch, going side to side and finding the tight spots. So on the channel, you're going to see a variety of types of workouts. So let's bring the chest long and forward and side to side. We post workouts that are no talking, no coaching, just movements. We have coached workouts like these ones. We have some body weight strength training. Our next program is going to be a beginner body weight strength and calisthenics program. You can look out for that before the summer starts. We post twice weekly, and we'd love to hear feedback of what you'd like to see more of in the future. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey. That's time. So let's sit up nice and tall in this 90-90 position. If you have troubles in the position and sitting up, grab your block, put it under the bum. We're gonna cross the arms at the chest like so, and from here we're just rotating side to side, and when you rotate, try to keep your hips low to the ground in both directions. So we're gonna rotate as far as we can to the right, and then turn and rotate as far as you can to the left. So we're working on a bit of spine mobility here and some hip rotation, and a little bit of core and oblique strength. These are great as a warm-up movement for the deadlift. If you find when you deadlift you feel a pain sensation or like a pinching sensation at the back of your hip. Great way to get the hip rotation working. That is time, and we're gonna, from this position, let's drop the left elbow on the floor so that you've got a straight line between your thigh and your torso, and then your right arm is just gonna make really big circles overhead, stretching the whole side of the body. So nice big circles, stretch the side of the body, and let's go ahead. We're just gonna do the circles like a backstroke. Nice and big. So as you reach overhead, feel the side body stretching. Try to get the arm behind the head as you go around. And then we're going to switch to the other side and do the whole sequence again on the right. Perfect. So let's make our way over to the right hand side. So we'll be 90-90 to the right, starting off with that dynamic glute stretch. So reach long over the right thigh and stretch the glute. And that's it. Find your tight spots and loosen them up. That's time. So let's sit up nice and tall for those rotations. And we're gonna cross the arms over the chest and sit nice and tall. And then from here, turn left and right as far as you can. We'll feel the hips working and you'll feel your back working. So let's go ahead and get ready. Arms nice and crossed. Try to stay as tall as you can. And like I said, if you can't sit upright, grab your block. And here we go. Let's rotate and rotate. Try to have only the spine move. Keep your legs still. It's very common when you turn to the left to lift your right leg. Keep it on the ground and just turn from the torso. All right, so let's bring the elbow down to the floor. We're going to take the left arm, big circles around, backstroke. Make sure your torso is in line with your thigh. We're going to make big, big circles and feel the whole side body stretch and arm stretch. So let's go ahead. The left arm is going to move, big circles. And around. Time. All right, we're gonna move into our supine hip circles. We're on the back for just a couple of movements today. So lie down on the back and our left leg is gonna do the hip circles. We're gonna alternate directions each time. So lie down on the back. And for today, try to see if you can maintain a little bit of an arch in the back while you do these. So just enough to fit your fingers underneath. Let's go ahead and bring the knee into the chest, out to the side and around. Try to keep the right hip on the ground, and then change directions on each rep. So see if you can maintain that little bit of an arch and see how big of a circle you can make without pressing the low back into the floor. So just make sure that the hip flexor is working to close the hip joint as you make the circles. It's just a different way of doing things. And around. Changing directions each time. You'll notice your range of motion is probably a little bit smaller if you're maintaining that little bit of an arch, and you'll feel a little bit more work at the front of the hip. Next time, we're going to do the same thing on the right side. So, hip circles, we'll start by pulling the knee into the chest, out and around, and then after this we're going to do pretty tough ab and hip work with a supine flare. They're quite challenging. Let's go ahead and get ready. We're going to be moving the right knee. So let's start by pulling the right knee into the chest. Try to keep that little bit of an arch. Out to the side and around. And then we'll go the other way. So out to the side, up to the center, and back. Let's keep that moving. So we got the supine hip flares. We've done these before. They're very tough. We're gonna take one leg up to the sky, the other leg floating, and we're gonna open the legs and roll through that middle split back the other way. So keep the arms out to a T, keep the legs as straight as you can, and roll through that middle split. Make the range of motion as large as you can without any pain or crunching or popping, and move slow. Move like your body is moving through a big tub of molasses. So very slow moving, keep the control, keep the legs as straight as you can, roll through that middle split as far as you can without pain. These are very tough. You'll probably feel the core working quite a bit by the end. The hips are gonna work, we're halfway. Roll through it. I know when I first started doing these, I couldn't do more than 15, 20 seconds. So that's okay if you do one pause. Challenge yourself though. That's how you get better. All right. that is time. Okay, so back to more hip flexor work. Have your block handy because we're going to use it for the next one. But we're going to sit with the right knee tucked in to the chest. Sit as tall as you can, and the left leg is going to lift straight off the ground, and try not to lean back while you do these. We're trying to work this with left side hip flexor. So sit nice and tall. You're going to lift 1, 2, and then back down. There you go. Lift 1, 2, and then back down. After this, we're going to do a hip flexor stretch. So make sure you got your block handy. So we're going to just go right into it afterward. Tall, 1, 2. Really feel the quad and the hip flexor working. 2, and down right through here. These are very tough. Try not to lean back. Keep the back as flat as you can while you do these. All right, 10 more seconds. We're almost there. These suck. Oh, I don't like these. I do them because I know they're good for me, but I don't like them. I'm allowed to not like them. So let's lie down on the back. Get the block underneath your tailbone. And we're gonna lie the left leg long and hug the right knee into the chest. Kick the left leg as long as you can and down toward the floor, and you're gonna feel a nice stretch through the left side hip flexor. It's nice after doing that hip flexor work. Just get a little hip flexor release here. So just using the right leg to tilt the hip, or the pelvis, and then kick the left leg long and feel that left side hip flexor stretch. Let the gravity pull you into it. It's a nice one. In the frog position after this. And that's time. Okay, so let's sit back up. We're going to do the same sequence on the right side. So let's bring the left leg in and sit nice and tall. So try not to lean back while you do these. Lift this right leg as high as you can. Keep the leg straight. Try to flatten out the back as you lift and really feel that hip flexor work. So here we go. And let's begin. Lift 1, 2, and then back down. Lift 1, 2, and then back down. Stay as tall as you can. 1, 2. Good stuff. Oh, these are tough. We're halfway, just like that. And we're going to go into that hip flexor stretch for the right leg. So let's lie down on the back, have the block under the tailbone. Right leg is going to lie long and hug the left knee into the chest with the arms, and then reach the foot down toward the floor and extend it out of the socket and feel that right hip flexor stretch. So let's settle into it. Nice and long. Feel the right hip flexor stretching. So having built this habit of moving every day, you've learned how to be disciplined. So discipline is just doing and committing to something and doing it whether you want to or not. I'm sure there's been many days during this program where you did not want to do this, but you did it anyway. And that's time. Awesome stuff. Okay. We're going to be in the frog position, so let's bring the knees nice and wide and your toes pointing out. So from the side, your knee should be in line with your hip. So bring this stretch to about a 6 or 7 out of 10, and then hands beyond the hands, and we're just going to rock the hips back and forth. Just gently rock back and forth and feel the stretch increase and decrease as we go. So discipline is a learned skill, and if you practice discipline of just, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something that, you know, sometimes you want to do, sometimes you don't want to do it. Exercise is one of them. You know, following a diet is another, writing in a journal. There's many habits that you can do that require just doing it even when you don't want to. Editing videos for a YouTube channel, that might be one as well. But just practicing that and doing it, you know, committing to a certain time, And that's time. And we're gonna stay in this position here. And now this is a new one. We're gonna bring the elbows to the floor and hands on the head. And from here, we're in this frog position and we're gonna rotate like those T-spine openers, but from the frog position. So a little bit of added challenge to these. Great for opening up through the front of the body. So let's go ahead and begin. We're gonna open and rotate. You'll notice you're quite a bit more restricted than our normal thoracic spine openers. And open up. But the discipline is what's gonna keep you doing things for the long run, because motivation comes and goes. You know, you'll feel really fired up and ready to go at the beginning of the year, and consistent, and then life happens and maybe you get sick, maybe work gets busy, and then this stuff that's important to you takes a back seat. But if you build discipline, you just work through it anyway. And that's what I hope this daily mobility program has brought to you. Okay, so we got a child's pose swimmers. These are really challenging. We're gonna come to a child's pose, have the forehead on the mat. We're gonna bring the hands behind the back of the hands on the back, and then let's lift the hands off the back and then make a big, like butterfly stroke all the way overhead. Keep the hands off the ground, arms straight, and then come all the way back. And let's bring the back of the hands back to the back. And just big circles like you're doing a butterfly stroke in swimming. So arms wide, keep the arms overhead, arms straight, and then back around. Good. If you have troubles doing this in a child's pose, you can just lie down on your stomach. That's fine. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, there we go, that's time. So we've got an alternating bird dog. So we're gonna come to our hands and knees position. And from here, bring the knees a little bit wider than the hips, shins flat, and we're gonna lift one hand and the opposite leg and extend long. So left leg and right leg and left arm reach long, and then hold for about 2 seconds. So reach, 1, 2, and then alternate. And then reach, 1, 2. Try not to rock the body. Keep everything stable. No twisting from the torso. Extend long. Don't worry about lifting high. Lift long. Like you're trying to get your hand and foot as far from each other as you can. And we're trying not to twist the body at all. Working a bit of core here. Okay, so we return to the beginning with our hip openers. No hands, look ma, no hands. So hip openers, sit tall. And we're gonna do them no hands. If you're crawling forward with the bum, just make sure each time you push the hip back into position. We'll be here for 40 seconds and we've got our deep squat. Our final deep squat static hold of the entire program. So for tomorrow, we've got a mobility challenge. Going to be taking you through some of the most challenging mobility movements and body weight strength movements. So you may or may not be able to do them all correctly, and that's totally fine. That's kind of the point. It's just to see where mobility training can bring you with time. I know pretty much every movement on that list I could not do when I started this stuff. So even if you can do one of them, except for the last one, you're way ahead of the curve. So that's time, and we're gonna do our deep squat hold one last time. Feet flat, and let's sit down into it. Work on getting the knees apart, back nice and straight. We can use the hands, elbows on the insides of the knees to push the legs apart and sit tall. Let's get ready. Here we go. Settle in, open up the knees, chest high. Our last workout of this program is going to be something that will introduce you to some of our other videos on the channel. It's going to be a mobility flow video. So just like the mobility flows we've done, we're only going to use movements that have been done more than once in this program, so they'll all be familiar, and there's going to be zero coaching. So you're just going to look at the screen, see what's coming up next, and you just work through it, listen to the music, focus on what your body's doing, and see how much of the coaching you've absorbed. that is time. Amazing work today, guys. So I will see you guys tomorrow for the mobility challenge. Have a great day.